Older women, listen closely, because what I'm about to tell you will change the way you see a man's love forever. You've seen the charm, you've seen the games, and by now you can spot fake affection a mile away. But when it's real, when a man is truly in love with you, it shows up in the most unexpected place, in how he is with you in bed. Not just in what he does, but in how he makes you feel. This isn't about age or appearance. It's about emotional presence, deep connection, and the kind of intimacy that speaks louder than words ever could. If you've ever wondered how to tell the difference between lust and love, keep listening, because the truth is hidden in the smallest, most powerful details. When a man is truly in love, his entire presence in the bedroom shifts. It's no longer just about what he's doing, it's about how he's doing it. You'll notice it in the way he pays attention to the small moments, not just the big ones. When he's with you, really with you, he's not just going through the motions or trying to prove something. He's not thinking about whether he's good enough, whether you're impressed, or if he's meeting some standard he has in his head. He's simply there, with you. Every second feels slower, more grounded. He wants to take his time, not because he's trying to be perfect, but because he wants to experience you. It's about savoring the emotional closeness, not just the physical connection. This kind of presence is subtle but powerful. You'll feel it in the way he touches you, in how he holds you between breaths, in how he pauses to really notice what makes you feel good. He might ask fewer direct questions and instead tune in to your reactions, the softness in your voice, the shift in your breathing, the way your body responds when he's close. When a man is deeply connected to a woman emotionally, his instincts shift from performance to presence. He wants to experience intimacy with you, not just through you. That's a big difference. It's easy to overlook how rare this is if you haven't experienced it often, but once you do, you'll know the difference. A man who's simply trying to impress you might be in his own head. He's checking boxes, trying out moves, measuring his worth by your reactions. But a man in love is fully immersed in the moment. There's no ego involved. He doesn't need to impress because he already feels accepted. And when he feels that, he gives more of himself. Not just his body, but his emotional presence. His confidence becomes quiet and grounded. He's not performing, he's expressing. You might notice that he becomes more patient, more intentional. He's not rushing toward an end goal. In fact, he seems to care less about the outcome and more about the journey. Every kiss has weight. Every glance has warmth. He's more in tune with your rhythm, your energy, and your mood. He wants to know that you're enjoying yourself. Not just physically, but emotionally. He's reading your body like a language, not a manual. That's when you'll feel truly understood. In these moments, time stretches. There's no pressure. You feel free to just be, without expectations. That's because when a man is in love, he doesn't just want to be with you, he wants to understand you. His desire deepens, not just for your body, but for the bond you share. You'll notice he's less likely to disconnect afterward, or roll over and fall asleep. He lingers, he stays close. That's his way of saying, I'm still with you, even, and that's how you know his heart is in it. Presence in intimacy isn't about being perfect, it's about being real. When a man is in love, his presence becomes his way of expressing that love. He doesn't need grand gestures or rehearsed lines. His body language, his timing, the way he holds you, it all becomes a quiet, powerful love letter written in real time. You feel it not just during but long after. And that's when intimacy stops being just a physical act and starts becoming an emotional experience. When a man is truly in love, something deep within him softens in the most beautiful way. That softness shows up not as weakness but as strength wrapped in tenderness. You see it in the way he touches, the way he listens with his hands, not just his ears. There's a gentleness that comes through, not out of obligation or strategy, but out of genuine care. He becomes more aware of what you need even before you ask. He starts to anticipate the moments where you might need reassurance, where you might need to feel not just desired but safe. That's when you know it's love, because it stops being about just pleasure and starts being about protection, comfort, and emotional security. You'll notice that his movements are less about urgency and more about connection. There's a certain way he slows down, not just to enjoy the moment, but to make sure you're enjoying it too. He reads your body like it holds answers, not like it's a puzzle to solve. He doesn't want to push past your boundaries or skim the surface. He wants depth. He wants to hold the space for you to feel whatever you feel without pressure. That gentleness is his way of saying, I see you, all of you, and I honor that. And even if those words aren't spoken, the message comes through loud and clear. There's no need for grand declarations. His actions speak for him. A man in love becomes protective, not in a possessive or controlling way, but in a nurturing way. He becomes the kind of man who watches your expressions, who notices when you flinch even slightly, who asks if something feels good, not just to be polite, but because it matters to him that it does. He becomes more selfless, more attuned. It's not just about him being satisfied, it's about making sure you're comfortable, safe, and respected. He wants you to feel like you can let go, not because you're expected to, but because you want to. There's an emotional maturity that begins to show up in those moments. A man who truly loves a woman understands that intimacy is not something owed, it's something sacred. He respects the privilege of closeness, the trust that you've given him by allowing him into your most vulnerable space. That respect turns into reverence, and reverence turns into a kind of emotional safety that is rare but unforgettable. He wants to take care of your heart even when your body is bare. That's what separates lust from love. When it's real, he doesn't just want your body, he wants to protect your spirit while he holds you. There's a stillness that often follows that kind of love. It's a kind of quiet assurance where words aren't needed because the atmosphere between you says everything. You don't feel like you have to perform. You don't feel like you have to be perfect. He makes you feel like being you is more than enough, and that's the real magic. Because when a man creates that kind of emotional safety, the physical intimacy becomes healing. It becomes a space where you can breathe, release, and be truly seen. He listens not just with his ears, but with his whole body. He becomes gentle not just in the way he touches you, but in the way he looks at you, in the way he pauses to make sure you're okay, in the way he holds your hand like he never wants to let it go. This kind of intimacy is quiet but powerful. It doesn't demand attention or applause. It exists in the subtle ways he puts you first, the way he treats your body like it matters just as much as your heart. When a man loves you, real gentleness shows up, not just as a nice trait, but as a promise, a silent, strong promise that your heart is safe in his hands. When a man is deeply in love, something changes in his eyes. It's not just about how often he looks at you, but how long he holds that gaze. There's a stillness in the way he sees you that says more than words ever could. In moments of intimacy, that eye contact becomes a conversation of its own. It's not rushed or fleeting, it lingers, and when it lingers, it sends a message that's louder than any declaration. It tells you that he's fully there with you, emotionally naked, open, and without pretense. You feel it in your chest when his eyes stay locked with yours. It's the kind of eye contact that doesn't just notice your body, it sees your soul. A man who's in love doesn't look away when things get vulnerable. He doesn't flinch from emotional intensity. In fact, he leans into it. That moment when you're lying close and he looks into your eyes without saying a word, that's when you know. Because he's not trying to escape, and he's not using intimacy as a way to disconnect. He's using it to go deeper. Eye contact in those moments becomes an anchor. It grounds both of you. It lets you know that he's not thinking about somewhere else or someone else. His focus is solely on you, and not in a surface level way. He's absorbing you. He's allowing himself to be fully seen, and he's inviting you to see him too. This kind of connection through eye contact creates a silent intimacy that goes far beyond the physical. It builds a bridge between two people. You don't have to guess what he's feeling because it's written all over his face, especially in his eyes. Love has a way of making a man's expression softer, warmer. He looks at you like you're the only person in the world who matters in that moment. And when he holds that gaze, it creates a sense of safety, of belonging, of being chosen. You're not just being looked at, you're being cherished. Men don't always express their emotions in big, obvious ways. But a man in love can't help what his eyes reveal. Even if he's quiet, even if he's not great with words, that look, unbroken, calm and tender, says everything. It's how you know he's not just there physically, but emotionally as well. You'll catch him watching you when you're not looking. You'll feel him noticing things others miss. And in bed, when the world fades and it's just the two of you, that eye contact becomes the most honest part of the moment. It strips away doubt. It reassures without needing to explain. It's in those seconds, when he looks at you with full attention and doesn't look away, that something unspoken is exchanged. You feel a kind of acceptance that is rare. He's not just admiring how you look, he's absorbing the essence of who you are. There's no agenda, no trying to control or manipulate, just presence, just love, raw and unfiltered. He's not hiding behind anything. He's saying with just his eyes, I'm here, I see you, I want you. And you feel it. It's not about romance in the traditional sense. It's deeper than that. It's an emotional mirror. You see yourself reflected in the way he looks at you, and for once you feel completely enough. You feel like you don't have to prove anything. You don't have to pose or pretend. That eye contact becomes your confirmation that what you have is real, that it's not just physical chemistry, it's emotional recognition. He sees you in a way that's rare, and when he does, you see him too. Not the polished version, not the guarded one, but the real man, standing in love, wide open, right in front of you. When a man is truly in love, the moments after intimacy become just as important to him as the moments before. He doesn't treat it like something that ends when the physical part is over. Instead, he leans in, he stays close, he lingers because the emotional connection matters more than the act itself. You'll notice it in the little things. How he instinctively pulls you in afterward, how his arms wrap around you without needing to be asked. He's not checking out. He's not grabbing his phone or rolling over in silence. He's right there with you, emotionally grounded, fully present. That's because, for him, love doesn't clock out when the moment fades. In fact, it deepens. Aftercare becomes a natural expression of his affection, not out of guilt or habit, but out of real emotional investment. He wants to be sure you're okay, not just physically but emotionally. He checks your eyes, your breath, the way you're lying next to him. He notices if you're quiet or if you're smiling, if you need to be held tighter, or if you just want to rest your head on his chest. There's no awkwardness in that space. It's soft, it's warm, and it's intentional. He doesn't treat intimacy like a goal that's been reached. He treats it like an experience you both entered together, and now he wants to help you land softly on the other side of it. This part of love, the part that comes after, often goes unnoticed until you experience it, but once you do, you can't forget how it feels. You feel emotionally wrapped up, not just physically held. You sense that he's not rushing you through your feelings, and he's not rushing through his. He's settled, at peace, and that peaceful presence gives you permission to be fully yourself. That's when you realize this isn't just about attraction. It's about emotional intimacy. It's about the part of love that shows up when no one else is watching, when the room is quiet, when all that's left is the truth between two people lying side by side. He may whisper something, but even if he doesn't, his silence won't feel distant. It'll feel comforting. He may run his fingers through your hair, kiss your forehead, or hold your hand without letting go. These small gestures speak volumes. They say, "I'm still with you," because to him, real connection isn't something that begins and ends between the sheets. It carries on. It flows into every minute that follows. He becomes attentive to your energy, aware of your vulnerability, protective of your heart. He understands that aftercare is where the emotional glue of intimacy really sets in. What surprises many is how this kind of love changes a man's natural instincts. He no longer feels the need to retreat or detach after the moment is over. He doesn't feel the urgency to move on to something else. Instead, he feels pulled closer. His heart isn't just stimulated, it's invested. And that investment shows up in the most tender ways. The blanket he pulls over you, the soft words he speaks, the calm in his breath. These are not accidents. They are love in motion. He wants you to feel safe, adored, and held, even when everything around you is quiet. That's when you know, when the physical moment passes and the emotional connection remains strong, unwavering, alive. That's love. Real love shows up in the stillness, in the care he takes to let you know that you matter, even in the moments no one else talks about. And while those acts may seem small on the surface, they're exactly where the deepest emotional trust is built. That's when you feel it in your bones. He's not just with you for the moment, he's with you for you. When a man is truly in love, something profound shifts in the way he experiences physical intimacy. He no longer treats it as a race or a routine. He stops being consumed by his own pace and starts tuning in to yours. There's a quiet attentiveness that begins to guide his every move. He starts to notice not just what turns you on, but what makes you feel seen. He starts to understand that your comfort matters more than the clock, that your reactions carry more weight than his expectations. He learns to slow down. Not because he's unsure, but because he cares too much to rush through something that means so much. That kind of patience doesn't come from practice, it comes from emotional connection. He wants to match your rhythm, not override it. It's no longer about getting to the finish line, it's about being present with you every step of the way. And in that presence, you'll feel something rare. You'll feel understood without having to explain, guided without being controlled, respected without needing to ask for it. That's the moment when physical intimacy becomes an extension of emotional depth. It's when love shows up in real time through attention, empathy, and restraint. When a man truly loves a woman, he doesn't just wait for verbal consent. He pays attention to non-verbal cues. He becomes fluent in the language of your comfort. The way you breathe, the way you move, the way your body responds. All of it becomes part of how he listens to you. He lets you lead even when he's guiding. He gives you space to explore what feels right without pressure to perform. He adjusts without being asked. He pauses when he senses uncertainty. He softens when he feels you soften. That kind of sensitivity is not something he puts on. It's something that grows naturally when his heart is involved. You'll notice the absence of ego. He's not in the room with an agenda. He's there with you, not in front of you, not above you, not ahead of you. He gives you time to ease into connection, to let your guard down, to feel safe in your own body before asking for anything more. It's not just about respect, it's about honor. He honors your experience by putting his own impatience aside. And that creates a deeper intimacy than any grand romantic gesture ever could. You're not just a participant, you're a partner in something shared, something held together by mutual care. When he loves you, he doesn't need to dominate the moment. He doesn't need to control the pace. In fact, it becomes more meaningful for him to follow your lead. The way he slows down is his way of saying, I value you enough to wait for you. And not just physically, emotionally too. He wants you to feel free, not rushed, desired, not pressured, heard, even when you're silent. This is the kind of man who will stop mid-magma just to ask if you're okay, not because he's insecure, but because your well-being matters more to him than his pride. In those moments, love becomes visible through behavior. You don't have to wonder if he cares. You feel it in the way he adjusts to your breathing, in the way he stops to kiss your shoulder, in the way he allows the silence between words to feel natural, not awkward. He creates space for you to be exactly where you are, not where he wants you to be. That's the real beauty of it. Love teaches him patience. It humbles his approach, and it refines his desire into something selfless, something sacred, something that gives more than it ever demands. When a man truly loves, he doesn't just slow down to wait for your body. He slows down to honor your soul. When a man is deeply in love, his vulnerability starts to surface in ways that are rare, raw, and honest. Especially in moments of intimacy, he doesn't try to be perfect or put on a performance. He lets his guard down. He lets you see the side of him that the world rarely gets access to. There's a quiet openness that reveals itself, not through grand declarations, but in the small exposed moments where he doesn't hide behind charm or strength. You'll notice it when his voice softens in the dark, when he shares thoughts he normally keeps to himself, when he pauses and doesn't fill the silence because he feels safe with you. That's when love begins to uncover the layers he's spent years protecting. For many men, vulnerability is unfamiliar terrain. They've been conditioned to be strong, to lead, to be unshakable. But when he's with someone he truly loves, those walls begin to dissolve. Not all at once, but gradually, moment by moment. And it usually happens in bed, where the noise of the world fades and the emotional connection becomes impossible to fake. He may open up about something he's scared of. He might share a childhood memory, or he might simply hold you tighter, not to feel strong, but to feel held himself. These are not accidents. They're emotional doorways he only opens when he feels seen, respected, and loved, without conditions. What makes this vulnerability so powerful is that it comes from a place of trust. He's not sharing to impress you, he's sharing because he trusts you. He's letting you see the parts of him that don't get applause, the insecurities, the quiet doubts, the fears of not being enough. And in doing so, he's giving you something priceless. Not just access to his body, but access to his truth. He's letting you in, and not just into his space, but into his emotional world. That's sacred ground. And when you receive it with care, the bond between you deepens in a way that physical chemistry alone could never match. Vulnerability in a man doesn't always look like crying or emotional breakdowns. Sometimes It's in the way he lets you touch the places he's self-conscious about. Sometimes it's in the way he asks, "Was that okay?" Not from insecurity, but from a desire to please you. Sometimes it's in the way he stays silent after you kiss him, not because he has nothing to say, but because the moment means more to him than words can express. These are quiet confessions, and when they happen, they change everything. They turn physical intimacy into emotional bonding. They transform attraction into connection. And, even more important, his vulnerability becomes a signal, a message that says, "I'm not just here for what feels good. I'm here because you make me feel safe enough to be real." That's what separates love from lust. Love invites honesty. Love creates a space where he doesn't have to be the version of himself he presents to the rest of the world. He can be soft, he can be unsure, he can be human, and in doing so he becomes more connected not just to you but to himself. You'll see the difference in the way he looks at you after, in the way he holds on just a little longer, in the way he doesn't rush back into being fine. Because in that moment, being fine isn't the goal. Being honest is. When a man feels safe enough to be emotionally exposed, that's when you know his love is real. Not because he says it, but because he shows it in the moments when he's most unguarded. And once that door opens, it becomes the foundation for a kind of love that doesn't just touch the body, it touches the soul. It's not perfect, it's not always pretty, but it's real. And real love always carries the risk of being seen. The kind of vulnerability he shares with you in those moments isn't weakness, it's proof that his heart is all in. When a man is truly in love, you don't just feel it in his words, you feel it in his presence. In the way he looks at you like time has stopped. In how he listens, not just to what you say, but to what you feel. In how he touches you like you're not just a body, but a story he wants to understand. Love makes him slower, softer, more aware. It strips away ego and replaces it with genuine care. You see it in the way he lingers after intimacy, how he holds you without needing a reason, how he lets his guard down and shows you the pieces of himself he's never shown anyone else. This isn't about a perfect man, it's about a real one. One who doesn't run from emotion, one who doesn't perform, impress, or dominate. He simply stays. He chooses to be present, and in those still, tender moments, you finally understand what love looks like when it's real. Not loud, not forced, not idealized, but felt deeply, consistently, and without conditions. When that kind of love shows up, you'll know, because it won't just touch your skin, it'll reach straight to your soul.